So let me ask you a question. What happens when the very fortress you build to protect your family ends up becoming their prison? We're going to dive into that powerful cautionary tale from Theodore Dreiser's novel, The Bulwark. It's an incredible story about a man who built a wall against the world only to find out he trapped his own family inside. You know, this one sentence, it just nails the entire tragedy we're about to unpack. This is the core warning right here. It's this dangerous idea that a rigid, inflexible order can somehow shield us from the beautiful, messy, living chaos of the real world. This is the assumption that kicks off the whole disaster. And the man at the center of it all is named Solon Barnes. His fortress, you see, it wasn't made of stone and mortar. Oh no, it was built out of something way stronger. Or so he thought. Rigid principles, strict traditions, and an absolutely unbending will. He genuinely believed he was creating a safe harbor, but what he really built was a cage. All right, so let's meet the architect of this tragedy. Who was Solon Barnes really? And what exactly was he trying to build with his life? So on the surface, Solon is a respectable man. He's deeply devout, he's calm, he's the picture of stability. His entire life is this meticulously constructed stronghold. And he's not a villain. He really believes that by creating this perfect, unchanging order in his family and his business, he can protect them from all the chaos of the outside world. And this right here, this is the engine of the whole problem. Solon's will is incredibly powerful, but it's also completely stuck. It's fixed. He thinks he can impose this perfect, static system on everyone and everything through sheer force of will. A system where any change, any deviation, is seen as a direct threat. And this is the central conflict of the whole story. I mean, imagine trying to build a perfectly square dam to hold back the entire ocean. It's just an impossible fight. When our will refuses to adapt, it stops being this engine for creating order, and instead, it just becomes a brake, grinding against the gears of life itself. And this is exactly where the pressure starts to build up. Because the biggest threat to Solon's fortress, it didn't come from the big, scary world outside that he feared so much. No, it came from right inside his own walls. See, his kids, they're part of their own time. They have their own wills, their own dreams. They want to experience the modern world. But to Solon, their completely natural drive for freedom, for life, for new experiences, it just looks like chaos. A direct assault on the perfect order he's worked so hard to build. And this clash, it happens on every single level. It's the new versus the old. It's the individual spirit fighting against an imposed system. It's the basic human need for freedom clashing with absolute control. The thing is, his children weren't trying to be destructive. They were just trying to live. But inside their father's fortress, that very act became an act of rebellion. And this is just a fundamental law of the universe, isn't it? It's basically physics. The more rigid and absolute the control, the more powerful the inevitable pushback is going to be. So this rebellion, it wasn't just a possibility, it was a certainty. It was a direct and ultimately tragic consequence of the immense pressure Solon was applying. And this is where the story takes a truly heartbreaking turn. We're about to see what happens when the cracks in that fortress finally give way and shatter the entire structure. It happens so fast, it's just this devastating domino effect. The impossible rules lead to secret rebellion. All that secrecy and pressure leads to the tragic downfall of his daughter, Dorothy, and the crushing weight of that tragedy, piled on top of his own sense of failure, then drives his son, Ben, to suicide. The order he built just collapses into absolute chaos with shocking speed. And here is the terrible, terrible irony. The system that he designed with love to protect his children was the very thing that ended up destroying them. His stronghold didn't just fail to keep them safe, it was the direct cause of the chaos that ripped them apart. This really gets to the heart of it all. Solon absolutely loved his children, there's no doubt about that. But his love was conditional. It was completely fused to his specific, rigid version of order. So when his kids couldn't fit into that box and the form broke, there was nothing left. His love couldn't save them because it wasn't flexible enough to exist outside of his rules. But, out of this absolute devastation, something profound begins to emerge. A realization. It comes far too late to save his family, but it holds the essential lesson of this entire story. Completely broken, Solon sits in his garden, and maybe for the first time in his life, he truly sees. He watches the plants, the birds, and he finally recognizes a divine harmony, not in some unbending dogma, but in the constant, flowing, beautiful adaptability of life itself. And this is what he finally discovers, the idea of a living order. It's not a fortress, it's more like an ecosystem. It's a flexible system that grows and adapts with you, one that's founded on core values like love and acceptance, not on some brittle list of unbreakable rules. This is the transformation we all need to make. We have to stop trying to build these static stone strongholds that are just doomed to crack under the pressure of real life. Instead, we have to learn how to cultivate a growing tree, a living system that can bend, adapt, and actually thrive. Okay, so we've walked through Solon's tragedy and his final late-in-life epiphany. Now, here's the most important question of all. What does any of this mean for us, right here, right now? Because this isn't just about some character in a book, is it? This is a practical warning for all of us. How can we apply this lesson to our own families, our careers, our own personal principles, so we don't end up building our own fragile fortresses? The key takeaway is this. The goal isn't chaos or a total lack of order. The goal is to use our conscious will, not to impose a rigid system, but to create an adaptive one, a system that is strong precisely because it is flexible. So how do we actually do that? Well, it takes a framework for making conscious choices, a sort of personal operating system that prioritizes adaptive values over rigid rules. It's about developing the tools to navigate the chaos of a world that is always changing, not by building a fortress, but by becoming more resilient and more alive ourselves. And that really is the final, essential message. The most resilient, the most protective, and the most loving systems are never the ones that are frozen in stone. They are the ones that breathe and grow and adapt. Your order, for it to truly work, must be alive.